Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pat Sadak, and I'm a constable with the Winnipeg Police Service Public Information Office. I'm joined here today with Chief of Police Gene Bowers and Deputy Chief of Investigative Services Cam McKidd. We have one item to discuss with you today, but before we do that, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the home and tradition lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to now invite Chief Bowers to the podium to provide opening remarks.
Afternoon, everybody. Back on November 7th, 2024, I spoke to you about 3 of our officers being arrested and charged for a number of serious offenses. At that time, I shared that the investigation was ongoing. And as a result of the continued investigation by our professional standards team, in consultation with the IIU, Manitoba Justice, and federal justice officials, yesterday, one of those 3 officers has been rearrested for additional criminal offenses. Constable Elston Bostock has been charged with a number of new criminal offenses and was detained in custody at the Winnipeg Remand Center. Additionally, Constable Vernon Stratinsky, a 15-year member, was arrested yesterday and charged with a number of criminal offenses. Constable Stratinsky was released on an undertaking. Both officers remain removed from duty with internal disciplinary proceedings underway with respect to their employment status. These are very serious allegations which go directly against the values of the Winnipeg Police Service, tarnishing our reputation and eroding the public's confidence within our service. These allegations are clearly not representative of the actions of our dedicated members who bravely serve the community with integrity, professionalism, and pride day in and day out. We understand the damage this does to public trust, trust which must be earned every day, and that is what we intend to do. Upon becoming chief, I committed to delivering enhanced accountability and transparency within our police service. No organization is immune to individual misconduct. It is our responsibility to confront it and act decisively, which we have done. We take this extremely seriously. We are taking actions to ensure a high level of accountability within the service. I recently met with my senior management team, laying out the expectations of accountability to the public, the justice system, the police board, and to ourselves. The police service's success and public safety relies on the high level of accountability and transparency. I directed each of my senior members to meet personally with all their members to reaffirm the integrity within which we must continue to do our jobs. As well, I will be adding another 3 investigators to our professional standards unit to ensure all allegations are investigated thoroughly. Yesterday, I sent a letter to the Justice Minister, Matt Wiebe, asking that the new Police Services Act establish a uniform code of conduct for all police officers in Manitoba, and to have a requirement to publish disciplinary actions taken with respect to police misconduct. Trust must be earned. We can't ask for trust. We have to earn it through our actions. That means transparency, decisive leadership, and commitment to the highest ethical standards. We will continue to take every step necessary to reinforce that trust. Now, before we speak to these allegations any further, Deputy Chief Cam McKidd is here. He heads up our professional standards unit. He'll be providing you some more detail with respect to this lengthy investigation, I think of 16 months, and some details as to what the charges are. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief, and good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to first start by echoing the sentiment expressed in the words of Chief Bowers. This is not a proud moment for our service. But having said that, the only reason we're here today is because a member of our service had the integrity to come forward with concerns, and they had the courage to put their names behind those concerns. And we're also here because members of our service with integrity conducted a very difficult 16-month investigation into this matter involving their coworkers. We put a great deal of trust in our members. We send them out with guns to do a very difficult and dangerous job. The overwhelming vast majority of our members, both sworn and professional staff, conduct themselves day in, day out with integrity, and they perform their duties with a high degree of professionalism. And as an executive, we're extremely proud of them. So for the benefit of those who might not have been here to the presser that we did in relation to this investigation back on November 7th, 2024, I'd like to just do a very brief recap of that, just so we're all on the same page. The chief alluded to some of these details just previously, so there'll be a bit of overlap, so my apologies. In early 2024, the WPS became aware of an allegation of breach of trust by members of our service. And at that time, an investigation was commenced by our professional standards unit. On May 7, 2024, our service notified the Independent Investigation Unit of Manitoba of the investigation, who assumed jurisdiction of the investigation and requested the assistance of the WPS Professional Standards Unit to conduct the investigation. Winnipeg Police Service Professional Standards Unit conducted a lengthy internal investigation that involved ongoing consultation with the IIU and with Manitoba Justice. As a result of the investigation, 3 Winnipeg Police Service officers were charged on November 6, 2024, with a number of offenses. Constable Elson Bostock, a then 21-year member of the service, was charged with 9 criminal offenses relating to offenses that had occurred over an extended period of time. These offenses occurred while both on and off duty. These offenses involved the disclosure of confidential information, obstruction of justice, obstruction of police investigations, and theft of property. Constable Matthew Kadniak, a then 2-year member of the service, was charged with 2 criminal offenses relating to a matter that occurred on or about October 17, 2024, while he was partnered with Constable Bostock. Constable Jonathan Kizak, a then 18-year member of the service, was charged with 3 criminal offenses relating to a matter that occurred on or about October 22nd, 2022, while he was partnered with Constable Bostock. And as referenced by Chief Bowers, on November 7th, myself and then Deputy Chief Bowers held a press conference where this information was detailed. So I will now talk about what has led us here today. In conjunction with the arrest of Constable Bostock on November 6, 2024, a search warrant was executed at his personal residence, and evidence was located which resulted in further investigation. Additionally, and again in conjunction with his arrest on November 6, 2024, Constable Bostock's personal cell phone was seized, and a warrant authorizing a search of the device was later obtained by PSU investigators. The device was found to contain several 100,000 communications dating back to January of 2016. Again, evidence was located on this device, which resulted in further investigation. Since that time, our professional standards unit has continued working under the direction of the IIU and has been in consultation with Manitoba Justice and federal justice officials with respect to further criminal charges. On August 6, 2025, Constable Bostock was arrested a second time and charged with a total of 18 criminal offenses, which I can detail for you shortly. Constable Bostock was detained in custody. Additionally, also on August 6, 2025, a second WPS member, Constable Vernon Stratinsky, a 15-year member of the service, was arrested and charged with 2 offenses stemming from an incident that occurred on or about March 16, 2023, while he was partnered with Constable Bostock. Constable Stratinsky was released on an undertaking. Now, what I'd like to do, just for some clarity there, as we've discussed here, there's been 2 stages where charges were laid, once in November of 2024, and again yesterday. It's a little bit convoluted, so what I'm going to do is just take you through these new charges, and we can take some questions on them. But it might be easier if I go through them, if you can just bear with me, and if there's questions, we can address them after. So with respect to the charges that were laid yesterday, these are the new charges. I'll break them down for you. There were 5 new incidents that were uncovered in subsequent investigations, subsequent to the initial arrest. 5 new incidents, and there's a total of 10 charges relating to those 5 incidents. So I'll start by going through those 5 just in brief here. The first incident occurred between September 27th, 2019 and October 31st, 2024. And this is in relation to stolen ammunition from our firearms unit. During that time frame, Constable Bostock attended numerous Winnipeg Police Service firearms training days, during which he continuously stole ammunition. Constable Bostock in turn provided the stolen ammunition to a friend on 3 separate occasions. The charges relating to that first incident are theft under and breach of trust. The second incident occurred on May 21st, 2021, and this involved a sudden death that Constable Bostock attended. While on duty, Constable Bostock attended a call for service regarding a sudden death in the 500 block of Osborne Street, at which time he obtained an intimate photo of a deceased female who was only partially clothed. Constable Bostock then distributed this photo electronically to another party. The charges relating from that second incident are indignity to human remains, distributing an intimate image, and breach of trust. The third incident I'll describe took place on or about March 16th, 2023. In this instance, while on duty, Constable Bostock and his partner, Constable Vernon Stratinsky, attended to a residence in the 300 block of Mountain Avenue in a marked cruiser car and in full uniform. Both officers entered the residence without authorization for the purpose of evicting the tenants at that location. These actions were not associated in any way to their policing duties. In relation to that third incident, the charges are break and enter to commit indictable offense, to wit, extortion, and breach of trust. So those charges are in relation to Constable Bostock and Constable Vern Stratinsky. The fourth incident occurred between February 17th, 2016 to August 23rd, 2024. And this involves obstructing justice with respect to provincial offense notices that were issued under the Highway Traffic Act. So between those dates, there were numerous occurrences in which Constable Bostock interfered with the course of justice by attempting to obstruct, pervert, or defeat the prosecution of provincial offense notices issued under the Highway Traffic Act. These were cases in which Constable Bostock contacted WPS members who had issued provincial offense notices and requested that the tickets be voided. The charges in relation to incident number 4 are obstruct justice and breach of trust. The fifth incident I'll describe has between dates. This occurred between October 26, 2022 and June 25th, 2023. Between these dates, on 6 separate occasions, Constable Bostock accessed and disseminated confidential information from WPS databases to unauthorized members of the public. With respect to that fifth incident, the charge is breach of trust. So that's a total of 10 charges relating to 5 incidents. I'll note for those of you that are going to be doing some work on this, there were also 3 charges that were initially laid against Constable Bostock on November 6th of 2024. They were relayed by the Crown yesterday. And the reason for that is new information came out in the subsequent investigation, so there's new detail. So the charges were relayed. So there's a total of 10 new charges. 3 charges were relayed yesterday, just in case that's confusing when you're sort of going through things. In addition to that, we mentioned that on November 6, 2024, when Constable Bostock was arrested, a search warrant was conducted at his personal residence. And the search revealed the following items within the residence. Firstly, approximately 3 grams of cocaine and amphetamines. And secondly, approximately 42 grams of psilocybin mushrooms. With respect to that discovery, a federal Crown was consulted and authorized charges for possession under the Controlled Drug and Substances Act. There's 2 counts of possession there. In addition, following that his initial arrest in November of 2024, his phone was seized and a search warrant was obtained to to go through that phone for evidence. As a result of that, investigators determined that between January of 2016 and November 6th of 2024, Constable Bostock had conducted approximately 84 drug transactions with various individuals. This occurred while Constable Bostock was both on and off duty. So with respect to those incidents, the Federal Crown was consulted and authorized 3 further charges under the CDSA of trafficking and distributing illicit cannabis. So in total, under the CDSA, there are 5 additional charges that were laid. I'll comment briefly here on Constable Stratinsky. I mentioned this, but just for clarity, the only charges he's facing here are in relation to that one incident that occurred on or about March 16th, 2023, in the 300 block of Mountain. Constable Stratinsky is facing charges of breaking and enter to commit indictable offense of extortion and breach of trust with respect to that incident. I know that's a lot, but I wanted to go through that right at the outset, just so you sort of got it in a chronological order. So having said that, I think at this point we'd be happy to take questions.
Has the police service ever charged anyone with indignity that human remains before, to your knowledge?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Has the police service ever charged a police officer with knowingly distributing an image?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe so.
A whole bunch of minor ones here. The photo that was distributed, was it the other individual, was it a police officer?
The person to whom it was distributed to, it was, yes.
And the weapons that were distributed, ammunition, forgive me, distributed to a third party, was that party a member of the police service?
No, it was a member of the public.
Was it a member connected to any organized crime group, or to your knowledge?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
The traffic tickets, were those his own, others, both?
So these were tickets issued by other members of the service, and Constable Bostock would reach out and request to that member that the ticket be voided.
No, but were the tickets issued to Boston? Well, like he was off duty and he got a speeding ticket, or was it other people's tickets?
Sorry, other people, yes.
I have a few questions.
Just for clarity here, we're both here. I'll be happy to speak to the investigative questions.
Sure.
Chief Bowers might take you over.
Yeah.
The drugs dating back to 2016. Where did the drugs come from?
I guess it's a good question. What I'd like to do at this point is make a general comment that provided a level of detail we normally wouldn't when charges are laid. These charges are going to be before the courts. We carefully sort of looked at what we might say in our initial comments here to ensure the prosecution isn't adversely affected. So it's unlikely that beyond some certain questions, we'll be able to speak in any further detail about the charges.
Okay, let me pursue this then. Beyond the 3, from a professional standards perspective, are you looking at any other officers?
No, I can tell you that we've worked very closely with the IIU throughout this investigation. We've worked very closely with provincial crowns and federal crowns. They have reviewed an awful lot of evidence that's been collected. And at this point, we're not anticipating any other criminal charges, barring anything unforeseen coming to light.
But from a professional standards perspective, the chief, you announced that 3 additional officers going to professional standards. Why do you need those 3 officers?
Yeah, we've had a number of investigations. Professional standards is a small unit. They've had a lot of work over the past couple of years. So with this investigation, it's a prime example. It was beyond what they could handle in-house. So we seconded members from different areas of the service to assist them. And it's become a recurring theme with some larger investigations that we've been dealing with. So the chief recognized they're just short-staffed there. So the addition of a supervisor and 2 investigators will help work through the case.
What's the current complement of?
Current complement, they have 6 investigators. They have 1 sergeant, a staff sergeant, and they're overseen by an inspector.
And certainly this investigation would put existing ones behind as well.
Absolutely.
The other thing I'm interested in to address the drugs and the ammunition is what has been done and what are you going to do to address any vulnerabilities that the drugs came from evidence, the ammunition, in the way that that's, dispersed to. I'm less concerned about the ammunition because it sounds like it was his own as opposed to taking more away. But from that perspective, anything that you have done or will be doing as far as evidence control is concerned?
Not so much with respect to the drugs. There's no indication that any of the drugs came from Winnipeg Police stores. So no, and we've spoken about this this morning. There's not a whole lot of policy gaps or policy or regulations we could bring in that would prevent this sort of activity. It's just poor decisions. So yeah, we looked at that. Are there policy gaps? Are there training gaps? It's pretty difficult in this circumstance. You can't regulate this sort of stuff.
In the case of, one
drug
last one. In the case of Bostic, was there any other complaints against him before this came up?
Yeah, that's a question I'm going to have to decline to answer, just given the prosecution.
So the drug transactions, are we talking, for lack of a better word, individual amounts, or is this higher level? I mean, is that,
Yeah, we didn't see, I guess, we did not see higher level organized crime sort of drug trafficking here. And maybe I'll leave it at that.
In regards to the distribution of confidential information, the recipients of that information, are they being looked at in a criminal way, or what has happened on the other end of that?
The information was provided to members of the public, and there's no criminal aspect to them having received this information.
do you have any indication of why he was giving them that information?
I'd have to decline to answer that one on the same basis.
I don't know, on a similar note, would you be able to say why the evictions were taking place, or who was that on behalf of these individuals? Mr. Bostic owned property, was this on behalf of somebody he knew?
Again, detail that's going to be available, they're just not in this venue.
Similarly with the traffic tickets, you will just, forgive me for the repetitive nature of this, but is there any, what could you speculate on or tell us the motive for the getting rid of the traffic tickets?
I couldn't go into that level of detail, sorry.
So, sorry, you said at this point you're not anticipating further charges, but is this investigation ongoing or is it considered concluded?
We consider it concluded. From a criminal aspect, yes, it's concluded. There are peripheral regulatory matters we're dealing with other members, as you can imagine. And that's something we wouldn't get into here today, but there's still work being done, but from an investigative standpoint, in terms of criminal charges, the investigation is completed.
And so the chief mentioned that people had the courage to come forward. I take it fellow police officers reported Constable Bostock then?
Police officers came forward with information about member conduct that was concerning. I wouldn't want to get into specifics about which officers they were talking about, but the investigation, the impetus for the investigation came from within our organization.
Did you say about how many complaints were made?
More than one.
So that was about 16 months ago, you said?
Yes.
And maybe for you, Ed, for the chief. The level of bravado here, that's just got to be offensive, because you folks are all about the straight and narrow, the right and the wrong. And here you have somebody that's just going rogue, the bravado that, I'm imperialist to this. There's acted like a king.
Well, and, again, we take this very seriously, and I guess we take it personally. And I really feel badly for our members who are out there and, that really work hard and do the right thing. Because the majority of our members do the right thing. And, and that's why, these charges have come about, because it goes against the grain of police officers and what we do every day. So, to answer your question, yes, it's a very sad day for the service, and I really feel bad for the members that are out there on the streets today, and trying to keep our city safe and uphold the law. So.
Chief, you can touch on this, but I mean, what do you say to someone who hears this and says, I can no longer trust city police?
Yeah, and as I mentioned, trust that we can't just ask for it, we have to show it by action. So the actions that we've taken show that we will hold our members to account in criminal offenses and other misconduct. As I mentioned, I have spoke to our leadership about accountability and about accountability to ourselves and, and character. When people aren't watching, the majority of our members do the right thing. And I think, I wanted my message to the citizens of Winnipeg is you can be reassured that the majority of our members are doing the right thing and they truly care about this community.
In your request to Justice Minister Wiebe to publish the results of disciplinary investigations, are you seeking for the publication of all disciplinary investigation results, or is there a threshold that you've requested for them?
For all, to answer your question, all disciplinary misconduct, we're one of the few jurisdictions in Canada that we don't publish, and that's because there's a bylaw prohibiting us from doing so. So with the new PSA, that would supersede any bylaw that we currently operate under.
And similarly, are you requesting that the IIU, which, as you are certainly more aware than anyone, has come under criticism for the way it investigates incidents, are you asking, or would you ask the minister to look at making the IIU, changes to the IIU so that the public would have more confidence in its investigation?
Not something I've put my mind to. I think the appropriate request was to the Justice Minister as far as the PSA, new PSA and adjustments to that.
Do you agree with the criticism the IIU is by a lot of critics is less?
Who would those critics be? 'Cause
I
don't know.
realize, we've published an extensive series of stories out, the IIU investigations, and some colleagues in the media, which rarely result in finding any wrongdoing on the part of police service.
Again, the IIU, from what I see and the involvement we have with them, they do a thorough investigation. They're independent of the police service. And again, they work under their different authorities and responsibilities. So again, they are an independent arm. To comment on that, I have to I think I'd have to look at it more what you're referring to.
Well, and I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but if accountability is the greatest issue, the complaint in the IIU has raised this themselves that they cannot sometimes get police service members to cooperate with their investigations, and as a result, they are forced to, on occasion, I'm assuming you've seen these stories, so they are forced to on occasion not draw any conclusion of any wrongdoing because they don't have cooperation.
I'm not here to talk about what the IIU can and can't do today. I know I'm here to talk about what we can do, and again, that's something I'm not going to. I haven't seen what you're referring
And
to.
Chief, you're looking for the publication of any disciplinary actions. You're not just looking at all the investigations that professional standards would be doing.
Anything that's led to
A sanction.
yes.
Okay, appreciate that.
Would disciplinary hearings be open to the public? I mean, they are in certain other jurisdictions, like Ontario, for example. Into those internal disciplinary hearings.
Right. Currently, they're not. You're correct. Again, I'm more concerned with the public confidence as far as moving ahead with that ability to publish what the misconduct was and what the penalties were, so that there is confidence that we are addressing misconduct. I think that's really important.
Do you have a reason why an officer with over 10 years of service at the time of this first incident turned to criminal activity in the first place?
Again, I'd just be speculating. I don't think that's for me to speculate at this time.
And sorry, just to be clear, on the disciplinary outcomes, but at this point, the request wasn't about making disciplinary process, like hearings, open as well.
Right, the letter I sent was more about the publishing of what those reprimands or what those consequences would be with misconduct.
More?
In regards to the breaking and entering, was that in like a home or like an apartment complex? And how many tenants would you say were threatened with eviction?
Again, I can't comment.
Has there been any communication with the family of this deceased person that the constable had taken photos of?
Yes, myself and Deputy Chief Cam McKidd, we went and met with the family member like 2 days ago. And again, we wanted to apologize for the actions that took place and express our dismay at what occurred, and opened, if they want to have further conversations with myself or Deputy Chief Cam McKidd, we're open to that.
So in terms of regaining trust, you said, looking at publishing disciplinary outcomes, adding the PSU complement, what else is the service doing, today and moving forward to try and regain trust?
Yeah, and definitely, we're looking at a number of things. I mean, with the advent with technology, there's a number of things that we can do as far as what our members are doing, time on calls, those types of things. Productivity, sometimes there's different indicators. So we're doing a number of things in that regard. We're looking at. Or I've directed some enhanced training for our supervisors to identify, misconduct or things that may lead to misconduct, and giving them the ability to react to them and deal with them in a quick fashion, so that things don't get to the point where we're arresting people.
They both been removed from duties. Is that paid or unpaid?
They've been off duty. Again, I can't comment on that because, again, I'm restricted currently.
All right, one last question. This might sound a little out there, so forgive me in advance, but in the time between the initial charges and these charges, there was a shadow campaign waged against you to try to prevent you from becoming police chief. Do you believe that that was connected at all to the completion of this investigation?
That's something that's never struck me. I never thought of that. So I can't comment on that.
Right. And really minor one. This is super minor. Tramadol. I mean, I'm familiar with it in the ER, but is tramadol often trafficked? Drug of illicit use?
Again, I'm not a drug expert. It's the first time I've seen that in a charge myself. Cam, I don't know if you have any comment.
Yeah.
Unusual, yes.